organization as a... Thank you. Okay, let's mix one another. Kindly introduce yourself in the chat box. Let's know who you are. Let's know the organization you represent. Thank you. Nice. Once again, my name is 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀. Nice to meet you, 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀 from Dancehall. Nice to meet you, Happiness from Juan Group. And nice to meet you, 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀. Okay, before we go on further, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our speakers today. Firstly, Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗲𝗀. Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗲𝗀, the CEO, Skills Transformational Academy. Can we say welcome to her, please?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, welcome, ma. Next, we have Ms. Abiola Lamikora, the Chief Consultant of Foster Green Nigeria Limited. Can we all welcome her?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma. Finally, we have Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗏, the CEO, Packages Educational Consultancy Services Limited, and the convener of the program. Let's welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Good morning.
At this point, I want our convener of today's webinar, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗏, to give us a brief background of the book, Who Moved My Cheese, so that we all can learn from this and be on the same page. Firstly, before she comes on, we're going to take the objectives of this seminar. So the objectives are as follows: understanding the importance of adaptability and growth in individuals and leadership. Then learning how to recognize and overcome comfort zones. Explore moving from comfort to growth zone and learn through collaboration and shared vision. Then applying practical leadership lessons from the book, Who Moved My Cheese, to personal and professional life. So back to our convener, Mr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀, please give us a brief background of the book, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲, so that we can all learn from it and be on the same page.
Good morning once again. Thank you all for joining. Like said, my name is 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲 from Packages Edu Services. I'm here today to take us through the reason why we're here. Yes, the topic of today's webinar is from comfort zone to growth zone, a leadership journey. And like the host said, he's being inspired by the book, Who Moved My Cheese? The book was written several years ago. I've actually read the book well before now. And I can tell you that it's something that applies to our personal life, to individuals, to organizations, to teams, to leaders generally, on how we should embrace life generally. Now, when I read this book, and I just thought I was just about to do a book review generally, which I promised to do on my LinkedIn page. And I just said, beyond what I've gleaned or learned from this book, why don't we apply it to organizations? Why don't we apply it to ourselves? Why don't, so I was led to speak to Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 and Dr. Toyin to ask if they'll be interested in reading the book and also sharing their learnings about this book with us today. So that's what brought about from comfort zone to growth zone. Now, when you look at the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Because I do agree that some of us have not read it, but I'll quickly try to give us a background story on it so that we understand. Please, next slide. It's a powerful book that talks about, is more like a parable about cheese, right? And basically, it's talking about change, adaptability, personal growth, mindset, several other things, collaboration, and some leadership skills as well. And when we look at the book, it uses the metaphor of cheese to represent things that are dear to us, things that we seek in life, whether it's success, whether it's happiness, whether it's diets, whether it's good lifestyle, whether it's stability or even marriage, you know, whether it's jobs, our careers, our businesses, or peace of mind, even material wealth. Oh, I want to get a car, I have to go to get a new house or move to a new place or relocate, whatever it is, it represents our life goals. Now, the main characters of this book are 4 characters, really. We have some one we call 2 mice that we call Sniff and Scurry, right? Sniff is a character that goes about sniffing to look for his life goals and everything. Scurry is always on the move, ready to pursue his life goals. And then we have 𝗵 and 𝗲, who are little people, like the book said, right? Sniff and Scurry just have the mentality, simple things in life. They're not complex, but 𝗵 and 𝗲, they're very complex. They analyze things, they look at things, you know, human beings with our brains and whatever. And they use all that to navigate the changes that they go through in life. Now, the main thing also we need to understand is that there are central things concerning this book that we apply to our personal life, that will apply to us as leaders, that whether we are prospective leaders or even existing leaders or whatever it is, or whether you own a business or an organization, there are things that apply to us in that way. Please, next slide. The lesson about change, right, really came on when the 2 mice had this common vision of the cheese that we said represents several things in their life. Then we have the navigation of going through the maze, which shows about how they go about life journey. Journey in life generally is never straightforward. You go through the highs and lows, the valleys, the mountains, the different things in life and all, to let you know that there are complexities in life. And as the 2 mice continue to observe the changes in their station, right? They live in a cheese village, so to say. And then for each in that state, in that village, you have what you call the stations where they go to get their life goals, their nourishment, their achievement, their aspirations from, and that represents Station C, called the cheese Station C. And so when they got into that station, they saw lots of cheese. They were very happy and all. And, you know, the two mice saw that, okay, the cheese were there. And the book described that they were ready and geared up, wearing their clothes every day, going to the cheese station to go and get their cheese daily. They had their shoes on, they had their gears on. The little people, when they realized there was cheese in Station C, well, initially used to go early, but after a while, they took life easy. Oh, the cheese will always be there. So they took their time. They were not dressed up, you know, they would just go casually dressed. No need for wearing the running shoes again and whatever. As much as possible, you know. But one thing about the mice was they observed that gradually the cheese started reducing in quantity. And so they were already on their alert mode. But the little people, O and M, they just took life like, oh, this cheese is just a lifesaver. It's going to be there forever. They never looked at the changes around them. They didn't look for ways to adapt in case the cheese disappeared. Next slide, please. And as much as possible, one day came, the cheese finally disappeared. Immediately, Scurry and Snake got to the station C, and saw there was no cheese. What did they do? They looked around quickly because they were already dressed up. They started moving through the maze, looking for a new place to find cheese. And they started going. It wasn't easy initially, but they kept going. But eventually they saw it. By the time M and Hall got to the station and they saw that Station C cheese is nowhere to be found again. Everything has gone. They started complaining. Who took her cheese? Oh, can it be the mice? All said, no, it can't be the mice because they're not too intelligent for things like that, you know, that kind of thing. So Hem just started complaining about life. And as we complain, oh, is TP's regime that's brought all these problems into my life and everything, you know, and whatever. So all this and whatever keeps happening and kept happening and kept happening. But they did not move to find the cheese. They just were going there every day complaining until also just suddenly woke up one day, one of the little people, and said, you know what? I think we need to go and find out a new cheese. And he spoke to his friend, but his friend still was adamant and he refused to change. He refused to move. He was just going there every day complaining. Or summoned the courage and he started moving on. Initially, he was afraid because he was going to new terrain. He was going where he never went before. It was filled with anticipation and fear and all. After a while, in each journey, he started stubborn courage and he kept going on. He kept encouraging himself. He kept writing on the wall, words to encourage himself as he was going on, words to whatever. Eventually, he got some cheese. It wasn't as much as what they had initially. And he ate, and he took some back to M to show him, my friend, I found some cheese. Let's go on. This cheese is even tasting better. Let's go on. His friend refused to go. He just kept complaining. I want my old cheese back. I want my old way of life back. I don't want this change. I'm not ready for this change and all. And when he saw he couldn't convince him, what did he do? He left him. He started moving on. He moved on until he got to this station. And what he saw was just too overwhelmingly wonderful. And what was it? A full new, brand new cheese station, filled with different brands of cheese that he has never tasted before, never seen before. And what did he see there? He saw the two mice, Scurry and Snake, eating their cheese away. They greeted him and they continued their business. And he looked and he said, oh my word, so this is what I would have missed. And he thought of his friend. Will my friend make the move one day or the other? And that is just the end of the story. That's just a brief about what this book is all about. And so like we've rightly read on this screen, it says M was not prepared to find out the new way, and it just remained adamant and it remained on his on the same spot. So what are the themes of this book, right? There are several themes. In fact, when I was looking through it, I got over 10 themes, but we'll try for the purpose of this workshop, we'll try to narrow it down to about 5 and see how much we can do within the time we have to do justice to it. One, it talks about change and adaptability. Change is something in life that whether we like it or not, it could be biological change happening to us in our bodies. It could be physical change, environmental change. It could be career change. It could be any type of change is bound to come. So we're going to look at change and adaptability. We're going to look at mindset. We're going to look at leadership. We're going to look at comfort zone and growth zones. And we're going to talk about collaboration as well. So please sit back and let's enjoy this webinar as much as we can. Thank you very much. Over to you, host.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲, giving us a very good insight on the book we're talking about today. So I'm going to be presenting the first speaker of today, Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗲. So I'm going to be reading her profile. Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗲 is a seasoned educator and school management expert with over 40 years of leadership experience across the 3 levels of Nigeria's educational sector. She is a seasoned educator, transformational coach, and consultant who spent 19 years running a family-owned school and 16 years in senior leadership within Nigeria's international secondary school sector. Recently retiring as the pioneering head of school at City of Knowledge Academy, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗲, which has excelled in academics and earned multiple awards. A scientist by training, BSc and Masters in Applied Entomology, with a Masters of Education in Guidance and Counseling, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲 led digital transformational initiatives to enhance learning and operational efficiency. As ISEN's first executive chairman, she helped shape the association's strategic growth and professional standards. A speaker and workshop facilitator, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲 is passionate about future-ready education and value-based learning, blending innovation with timeless educational values. Please join me in welcoming her. She's going to speak on change, adaptability, leaving the comfort zone, flexibility, continuous learning, and growth. Please, can we share a slide? Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗲, you can go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And first and foremost, I would like to say thank you very much to Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗲 for inviting me to take part in this webinar. It's a very interesting topic, and it's something that affects every single one of our lives. Every part of our lives are affected by the core concept of this book. Could you all mute themselves, please? Thank you. Okay. And this book came out more than 20 years ago. For those people who are a bit older on this call, they probably have read the book when it first of all came out. And you know, at that point in time, we were not we were not thinking of things had not yet changed as much as they have changed right now. And honestly, change in today's society, in today's world, it is on an annual basis, if you understand what I mean. It is so fast and it is so rapid that honestly, I feel very sorry for anybody who is not in a position to change. Next slide, please. It's an amazing way to deal with change. And so we are going to be talking about from comfort zone to growth zones. From comfort zones to growth zones, a leadership journey. Next slide, please. And so the book, and thank you for the overview, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗲. That was that gave us you know, an excellent idea of what the book was all about. So I'm not going to be referring to the details of the book. I'm just going to now begin to talk about the things that really are takeaways from the book. And we are talking about a leadership journey. And I want us to understand that the truth is that leadership is a journey, because you start from lower ranks to higher ranks. You become more experienced as you grow. As I was preparing the book, the presentation, I was remembering my first years of being a leader in education. I was opportune. I had the rare privilege of being handed over a school in my 30s, you know, of hundreds of children with quite a number of employees, you know, and I was the one who was managing that school. And I smiled to myself, and I now began to look at the way I was leading, even as I was exiting when, you know, I retired last month. Okay, this is April, so we're talking about a month before the last. From my early times of running a school until these last years when I ran a school, and I can see, I could see a difference in how in what I did, in how I ran the place. So I've been asked to focus on adaptability and flexibility. Now, adaptability. How do you adapt to things? How do you adapt to change? Which means, you know, I'm a scientist, and so I could talk about mutations, you know, when, for instance, an animal gets into a different environment from what it has been used to, and then suddenly, you know, it has to live in that environment. What it does is that it even changes its genes. And so the adaptability is the quality of being able to adjust to new conditions, you know, the capacity to be modified for a new use or purpose. And you will agree with me that there are so much things that have been changing in these days that we really have to be able to adjust to new conditions, and we have to modify ourselves to a new use and purpose. You know, leaving the comfort zone, continuous growth. These are key takeaways from the book. Next slide, please. So under adaptability and flexibility, it says that change is inevitable in any leadership journey. It's inevitable because things are going to change. I remember I've been thinking about before COVID, you know, the journey of school, for instance, through that COVID journey. Remember, Ebola gave us a taste of lockdown. And when Ebola was around, in school, we started having lessons online. I've forgotten the name, just to show you how one forgets. I've even forgotten the name of the... Okay, thank you. Sorry, I think somebody's been trying to get hold of, trying to call me. And we had already prepared, you know, and after Ebola, I now said, there are going to be many more disruptions to education. So what are we going to do? And lo and behold, what happened? COVID happened. But I remember that because I knew that change was inevitable, that things were going to happen. We had already started transiting even from that new first platform to Google Classrooms. And just as the schools were being told to lock down, we said we were not happy with Google Classrooms. And so during that holiday, we now started on Teams. And that was what we ran throughout the time of COVID. We did not miss a bit. And this is what happens, that the characters Smith and Scory, they exemplify adaptability, flexibility. They stayed in one place. They got used to that place. Everything, you know, everything was available for them. But immediately things that, you know, well, not immediately, but at least they made a prompt effort, you know. They started to seek new cheese when their supply diminished. So what are the key words for a leader? You have to be proactive, and you have to be responsive to change. When I say proactive, you need to, when change comes, you don't have to now sit down and start saying, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then you have to be responsive, because when things happen, what do you do? And that's why they say, are you reactive or proactive? You have to be proactive. You have to take charge. One of my favorite quotes concerning leadership is, a leader gets things done. That's just the simple thing. A leader gets things done. Even, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲 mentioned, changing your body. The older, as we are getting older now, and all of us are looking at wellness and health status, you don't have to wait until you get overweight before you do something about it. You don't have to wait until you are being, diagnosed as pre-diabetic before you begin to change your diet. You don't have to wait until your weight becomes a change before you know that you need to exercise. You are being proactive. You have to be responsive to change. And, for instance, your health status, it doesn't, there's inevitable change as you get older. So what are you going to do about it? And remember, for your body, for instance, you are the owner of the body and you are the leader of the body. Not to now talk about organization. You have to be open to see that what changes are there. Staffing needs, the students, what are they doing? Resource management, for instance, the band aid, electricity, for instance, power management in schools and in organizations is a big deal. But you have to be proactive. What are you doing about making sure that I move from an expensive source of energy supply to one that will not cripple my organization? And so leaders have to remain vigilant. They have to really, keep your eyes on the ball. What is happening in your organization? Take walks around, talk with your staff. Invite people in, and make sure that your door is wide open. People can walk in and out and talk to you. Can people talk to you? Can people tell you what's going on? Because you might not be able to see everything. And then you adjust your strategies. You have to be, and that's where flexibility comes in. Today you might have to jump. Tomorrow you might have to run. Today you might have to do a marathon. The next day it might be a sprint. But you need to be flexible. And so because as things are changing, you need to be able to guide your teams through transitions. So the quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can then begin to enjoy the new cheese. Because cheese will always grow old, and there will always be a new cheese on the block. Next slide. So, leaving the comfort zone. As I was also preparing, there are also many other things that come into play, in this who moved my cheese. It's also a matter about your mindset. I believe that we are going to be talking about that. You are either stagnant or you are growing. You are either stagnant or you are growing. And unfortunately, 𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲. Yes, I know that 𝗲 finally left his environment. But it took quite a while before he did that. Why? Because we get comfortable. We like running things, we love ritual. We love routine. I go into my office, I sit down, I first of all take a cup of tea, then I talk to my secretary, then I do this, that's not what we are supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be going out. You remember what we said, we have to be proactive. We have to be proactive. So these gentlemen, these little men, who are reluctant to leave their familiar environment, even though there was no more cheese. There was no cheese, but, they were bewildered, which is another reason why leadership is also about competence. Are you competent? Do you know what you are doing? Which is why you have to continue to learn. And that is why when you are hiring people, you really have to make sure that you are hiring people for competence and not for sentiment. Will they get the job done? Because it's people that are able to step out of comfort zones that will be able to get things done, because things will continue to change. So thankfully, he realized that Hall eventually realizes that he needs to embrace the unknown.
Sorry, ma'am, please, can you put some... Sorry, ma'am, your video, please.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes, you can go ahead. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes. And you can see that when he stepped out, it was a journey of discovery. which is what, leaving your comfort zone does. For instance, when you travel abroad, particularly if you're going to a new country, for instance, it's always a journey of exploration. You don't know what you are going to come up with the next moment, but you will find out that once you get into that country and you have navigated one or two things, you begin to feel comfortable. You begin to enjoy yourself. You begin to say that, why didn't I come here earlier? Why didn't I decide to visit this place sooner than I did? And even if it is a country that, remember when you leave Nigeria and you visit a country that you've been visiting for several years, because they are proactive and they are changing things, again you will discover new things. They bring pleasure to you because discovery, new knowledge. It broadens your mind. It makes you feel much better within yourself, because there's also an intrinsic value to knowledge. It just makes being knowledgeable, makes you feel better. It empowers you. So it's empowering. And and that was what happened. As he began to walk along the maze, the different corridors, he began to feel much better. And he began to write on the wall, writing all kinds of, statements, telling him, well, he was postmarking for him, but he was also reassuring himself and also sharing the new knowledge that he had. So he realized that when you embrace the unknown, there are so many new opportunities. For instance, I love the world of technology, especially as it relates to education. And I'm always pushing. Let's try this tool. Let's change how we do this. Our assessment. What can we do? For instance, one thing that I introduced before I left before I retired, was project-based learning. Because we said we need to change the way we assess things, because that one of saying that this child came first, second, third, the person scored 90% or it's so totally outdated. Because out there, what leaders are looking for, what owners of organizations are looking for are what you can do, not what you know. Examinations in the old traditional way, they test what you know. They don't test what you can do. But project-based learning, for instance, it shows what it is that you can do. That's also the reason why we also make sure that our children go out for work experience. In year 10, they go for year experience. And by the time they go out, for instance, they want to be a medical doctor, they go and work in a hospital for 2 or 3 weeks. They come back and they reassess and they say, is that what I really want to do? Is that what I really want to do? So, stepping out, and for a lot of them, of course, they are going out into the world for the first time, meeting adults, having to prove themselves, and all of that. But the truth is that because they have gotten a good foundation, when they go out, they are able to compete with the best out there. So we need to, leaders have to encourage that, leaders must be the best cheerleaders, in your organization. You must cheer your people up. You must say, oh, you can do better than you are doing. You encourage them, encourage them. The one thing my people, what I would always tell my staff, I say, what, I don't understand the word impossibility. There's absolutely nothing that is impossible to do. It's a Yoruba adage that says that something that doesn't have a mouth cannot be wiser than you. So you have to do what you need to do. If there is a will, there is a way. So find out that way, because that's what happened to her when he was going through the maze. He found a way after that. And of course, innovation. You're going to have to do things in a new way. Cannot continue to do them in that old way. Resilience. We have to all be resilient, because times are tough, times are hard, and the truth is that things are going to get even more difficult. And there will always be uncertainty, because only today is certain. Tomorrow we don't really know much about. And so we have to be resilient, and that is building up inner strength, which is another thing that leaders need to do, to be able to encourage your people to leave the comfort zone. And you know what? Lead from the front. Be the first to try the new thing. I would always tell my people, I say, hey, I'm much older than all of you, but there is no tech tool that comes along that I'm not going to try my hand out. I know what to do. So when I'm saying that I know how to now use this tool, the staff will now say, well, if head of school knows how to use it, that means that I need to learn how to do it. Okay. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Can you hear me? Next
Yes,
slide,
we can.
please. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Sorry, there's a slight delay. We'll change it shortly.
Okay. And the truth about it is that stepping out of the comfort zone is usually because of fear. People tend to be afraid, but you can't afford to be, to be afraid in this bold, in this world that we live in. You have to be courageous, bold, and you have to be strong. Next slide. Yes, continuous growth. I'm sure that, in between, I have mentioned some of those things. The parable teaches that personal and professional development requires ongoing adaptation. You have to continue to train your staff to be able to meet the new things. But you as the leader, you are the one that has to, lead the way. So the leader,
Yeah, I think you're having some network issues.
No, I'm good. I'm back.
Go ahead. Yeah, about 6 more minutes, Ma. You can go ahead.
Yes. Yes. So you as the leader, just as it says here, that you need to anticipate and embrace change. Change is always going to come. So there's no, there's no point complaining. There's no point being afraid. There's no point saying that, I don't know what to do. You're just going to have to learn those new things, because if you don't do that, there will be stagnation, as we can see as what happened to those little men. And that's a horrible description for leaders. Let's not be little people. Let's be large people. Let's be great people. Let's be big people. Because we're expected to do great things. As he said at the end, he said, smell the cheese often, so you know when it's getting old. Regular self-assessment. You have to, there has to be a self-examination before there can be a self-awareness. So you need to always examine yourself. You need to test your procedures and your protocols to see if they're still delivering what it is that you wanted them to deliver when you started the initial journey. And a readiness to pursue new avenues for growth. You just have to be ready to do something new, something different, so that you can grow. Next slide, please. As you said, smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. Next slide. So in summary, because I'm going to be needing to round up, change is embraced through adaptability and flexibility. You have to embrace it. Change needs to be embraced. You need to be able to adapt to the different things that are happening around you. You need to be courageous to be able to leave your comfort zones. And you must be committed to continuous growth. I will give you an example, even based on the preparation of this presentation. When I started, I sat there and I said, number one, it took me by surprise. Okay, it took me by surprise. So when I got the notice that I needed to do a presentation, I said, oh dear me, what am I going to do? And then I sat there, I had read the book, thank you for sending it to me again, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲. I had read it, and I said, what is it that I'm going to get out of this? And how do I go about it? Ladies and gentlemen, what did I do? I turned to GPT. In less than a minute, it had produced 2 different presentations for me with highlights and all of that. I said, I said I wanted to test it, because I know that right now that there's so much talk about AI, about, oh, should I use AI? Shouldn't I use AI? What is it going to do? The truth about it is that it is going to make a lot of people lose their jobs if they are not careful. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs if they are not careful. Why? Because AI is going to enhance the productivity of all workers, but it depends on whether you or not you decide to use it. As I said, I got 2 presentations. The first one, I had prepared my slides from it, but I looked at it and I said, no, it doesn't address exactly what I wanted to address. And I got another one and I now used it. And so you can see that change, you have to be adaptable and flexible. I'm giving myself as that example. Courageous, let me explore. This is not my first time of using that, but I just said I was going to come clean at the end of my presentation and let everybody know exactly what it was that I did, because it represents what we are talking about, leaving the old and embracing the new. And so if you want to excel and navigate your professional journey, you are going to have to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to be adaptable, very flexible, ready to jump, to skip, to run, to fly, whatever you need to do. And then you also have to be committed to continuous growth, which means that you leave behind the old and you embrace the new. And so I hope that I have been able to energize us this morning to embrace the new and let go of the old. And so the last slide talks about change happens, just like I've been saying, it happens. So you have to anticipate it. Don't let it take you by surprise, so that you can be in charge. You monitor the change that happens, and then you adapt to the change quickly. But the one thing that you do is that you change. Enjoy change. I'm enjoying, I'm retired, but I'm not tired. And so I'm going to be putting my fingers into so very many new pies. So I'm going to enjoy the change. It says be ready to change quickly and enjoy it again and again. And so I leave you on that high note, and I hope that we all have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀. That was really enlightening. Wow. Some things I took from that session, she shared that the dangers of staying in our comfort zones. She just mentioned something, that organizations are looking for what you can do and not necessarily what you know. Then she mentioned that as a leader, you must always cheer your people up. Thank you very much, Ma. Please let's appreciate her for this presentation, everyone. Okay, we're moving on to the next speaker, Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲. Please let's share a profile. Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 is a visionary leader dedicated to unlocking human potential and driving sustainable growth. She has nearly 30 years of experience as an educator, leadership coach, and mentor. As founder of Core Skills Transformational Academy, she has empowered over 20,000 leaders, entrepreneurs, and educators globally. Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲's Core Skills Accountability Mentoring Program has guided over 1,000 individuals to success, while our Education Consultant Certification Program has helped 60 educators build thriving consultancy careers. Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 has a doctorate in Education Planning and Management from Prowess University, United States, and certifications in Public Leadership and Policy. Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 is a respected mentor, business consultant, and author of 28 leadership and personal development books. She also serves as partnership lead at 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 Nigeria and mentors aspiring entrepreneurs at the 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 Foundation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲. She's going to be talking about overcoming the fear of change, anticipate change, taking action, the importance of a positive mindset. Well done, Ma, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. How many minutes do I have, please?
You have 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay, good. So let's shoot. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, at whatever time you're watching this and wherever you are joining in from. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And I would start by saying that I am the most privileged person to be in this room. First off, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 has been someone that I've always admired from afar. I know her so well. I'm not sure if she does. He spoke at Island Summit with Mr. Bosu. Yes, and I was one of the anchors for that event, and I saw the passion with which she spoke, and I also learned quite a lot from her. So, I mean, when Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 reached out to me, I was like, what exactly is it that, make me to come on this table to wine and dine with the creme de la creme? So I want to say a very big thank you. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, sis. Thank you for always being there. Thank you. And I'm very, very grateful to be here. So yes, the book, Who Moved My Cheese, was a book I read during my undergraduate years. And when Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 reached out to me, I was like, oh my world. That was a very long time ago. And so she gave me the e-copy of the book. And so I spent my Sunday evening listening through my audiobook app because that was quite faster, easier for me. So basically, I don't really have a PowerPoint presentation because, I just felt that it was more of a question and answer session. But until when she reached out to me and she was like, no, you have to still say one or two things. So yesterday night, I was able to scribble down some things on my thoughts. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for that, Mrs. Abiola. So, as we have on the screen, overcoming fear of change, anticipate change, take action, the importance of a positive mindset. So I'm going to be mixing up my own session with stories, personal from the book, and also sharing some very practical principles with us. Like I said, yesterday night, I was pretty tired, but I was able to scribble some stuff because my itinerary can be very crazy. But when 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 reached out, I didn't have a choice than to make sure that I'm here. So the first thing when it comes to overcoming fear of change, what I would like to say is that fear is okay, so please just give me a minute. I think I would like to record on my computer. So please, if you can grant me that request, I would like it because I like watching. I've sent in the request to the host. I would really appreciate if I can get it. Thank you so much for the approval. So like I said, first off, talking about overcoming fear of change. So the truth is every single individual that you see succeed today, right? I've been confronted with fear, and that's just the truth, whether you like it or not. And I want us to have a new perspective to fear. Fear can be positive, right? So some people say that fear is false evidence appearing real. And I would say that fear can be really positive because God put fear in us to be able to help us to take caution. He put fear in us to help us to be proactive. He put fear in us to help us to ensuring that we don't just go all out and endanger ourselves. Okay, it preserves us from becoming an endangered species. So what I would say, for example, if you remember that story in Who Moved My Cheese, it's funny that even though we had two groups of mice, two mice, two humans, and one of the parts where, I was really interested in the book, it said that the two adults were like, nobody has as level of higher complexity of thoughts than humans. But funny enough, when the entire cheese was moved away, rather than them to say, okay, let's see what we can do about this, they stayed back. And then, of course, her, which is one of the mice, took the challenge, and rather than stay back, it went to explore. It also means that everything that you are looking for in life is on the other side of fear. And the truth is, there is never a clear road. The road gets clearer as you take a step at a time. So I'm going to be using some of my own personal story. And one of the things I want you to write down is, rather than fearing change, you want to first off go ahead to confront the change. Ask the question, what would I do if I weren't afraid? What will I do if I weren't afraid? So if you are with me on this call, I want you to type in the chat session, what will I do if I wasn't afraid? I want to really hear that. What will I do if I wasn't afraid? So when a lot of people say, oh, Dr. Toye, you've achieved so much, you're pretty young and all of that. And I tell them that only if you know that my failure rate is like times 10 of the success rate that you see out there. And sincerely, there's something called the courage quotient. The courage quotient. And how do you build your courage quotient? You build your courage quotient every time you go ahead to face your fear and welcoming change even before it comes to meet you. That's the truth. So thank you so much, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲. Thank you so much, 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗲, for sharing, typing in the chat. And that has been one of the things that has really, really helped me in life. So when I think about an idea, I would rather experiment sincerely than just allow the fear of change to hold me back. And that has always, always been my anchor. So replace fear of failure with curiosity and experimentation. Now, I'm going to put in a clause. Experimentation will cost you sometimes, but you have to have the kind of mindset to say this experimentation, the cost I'm paying for this experimentation is like the cost I'm paying for my lessons, my learning from the experimentation, right? So recently I started listening to Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗏 a lot. I've been binging on his YouTube channel like crazy. I mean, I'm working on the road. I'm having to wait somewhere. For some reasons, I just stumbled on his YouTube page, and the guy has just been making a lot of sense to me, the CEO of Common Sense. And he said something. He said, you either learn by knowledge or you learn by experience. And when people say that experience is the best teacher, hey, people, experience is the best teacher when it's not your own. You want to type that in the chat. Experience is the best teacher when it's not yours. And that is the beauty of mentorship. That is the beauty of coaching. That is the beauty of learning, right? Because you are then able to take calculated risk. So your experimentation will then have some sort of hypothesis, okay? Some sort of analysis, some sort of synthesis. Oh, Ogechi, how my mentees are here. Well done. Thank you so much for joining from Kano. Absolutely. So experience is the best teacher when it's not your own. So in my mid-20s, I started investing a lot in paid mentorship, in learning and development every single year. And that has helped me to kind of reduce my level of error. I'm not saying that I don't still make mistakes, right? But even when I do, it's always in the right direction. I have the right mindset that I'm learning, okay? So I'm done with the first one. The second one has to talk about anticipate change. And I mean, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗏 had done justice. At some point, I was like, what will I have to say again? So really, when it comes to embracing change. You know, whether we like it or not, it's been said that change is the most constant thing in life. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about that. And the truth is, whether we like it or not, we experience change every single day. Change in the weather, change in our biological, physiological, spiritual, psychological, psychosocial, name it. So rather than being reactive, it's important that we are proactive. Going back to the story of who moved my cheese, one of the beautiful things that the mice did, I've forgotten his name now, I always mix them, him and her, I always mix them up, I think it's him. What he did was that when he discovered that the cheese was no longer available, you know, and a part of the book was saying that oftentimes we feel that when we have entered into our comfort zone, there's this tendency for us to think that, oh, things will always be like the way it has always been. And so let's just relax and take a break. Don't get me wrong. It's important that we still take some time to celebrate our wins and all of that. But the truth is, we have to constantly be on our toes, right? And one of the things that will help you to anticipate change is to be in the right community. I say this a lot because teaching will give you knowledge, right? That's the truth. Teaching will give you knowledge. Mentoring and coaching will help you with action. Community will help you to build your capacity in any area. I'm so much an advocate of building communities that that's what I'm trying to even put together some stuff to teach people how to build communities, because wealth is in communities. Real transformation is in communities, because there's just this thing about we as human beings, we are social beings, right? And one of the things that we love to do is to actually be in a certain situation, in a setting where we copy, whether we like it or not. It's just hardwired in us. So whether you like it or not, and that's why it's been said that evil communication will corrupt good manners. That's just it. I can tell you that for free. It's very, very true. On the flip side, okay, good communication will promote good manners. And even if somebody that has a very negative mindset has a lot more people in a community where there's a lot of positivity going on, the amazing and the fantastic thing is that, guess what? It's just a matter of time. It's contagious when you are in a community, right? That people, especially a community where, even if it's a token, just pay and just be in that environment. That alone, I guarantee you, will help you to constantly begin to see how you want to get better. Now, I'm trying out the place of the entrepreneurship, and so I'm going to be bringing entrepreneurship in, talking about anticipating change. Now, I'm going to give you an hypothetical story of my life, right? When I've always been very passionate about education, and when I started out in my consulting, that was in I actually started out in 2022, right? Testing the waters, but I was still heading a school way back then. But one of the things I did was I knew that at some point I wanted to be a full-time entrepreneur, right? And what did I do? What I did was I gave myself an exit plan. And I told myself after 6 years, I wasn't going to work for anybody anymore. At that time, I was 35 and I was going to be 35. Okay, I was in my early 30s then. And I just had this very, very strong, nudge to say that, okay, so between now and then, how best can I go about anticipating this change that is going to happen? One of the greatest fear you experience is if you want to move from being an entrepreneur or being a full-time career person into business entrepreneurship. I can tell you for free, if you're on this call, if you're on this call and you have experienced what I'm talking about, right? Just type, talk to me. That is one of the greatest fear. If you really want to overcome the fear of change, type in the chat. Let me see, talk to me. If you have experienced this or you think that what I'm saying is true. Okay, Chi, yes, amazing. I want to see 2 or 3 more talk to me. I mean, it was real. So I'm combining the first 2 points to let us know that, hey, so what did I started doing? I started giving out huge value, massive value using my social media handle. I mean, it was as serious that I would go for some trainings, or when some people even come into my inbox, some people come to ask me, will you be attending this so and so conference? Please, we are relying on your notes because we trust that when you're done, you will share it on Facebook. So I started doing that. Another thing I did was at some point, thank you, Christy. Yes, be prepared, give massive value. Talk to me, oh. Precious. Wow, a lot of my mentees are in the room. I'm proud of you, ladies. Thank you so much for this massive support. So, like I said, I mean, it was one of those things that I was like, okay, so what are the things that, what's going to be my exit plan? So aside from doing the social media thing, I then negotiated with because I always do my work very well. I negotiated with my school owner then that, okay, can I be paid for 4 days, right, instead of the 5 days of the week? So I then started using Fridays for research, and then sometimes I started taking on some training. Okay, fast forward, when it was time for me to resign, I made sure I had published a book, and it's one of my most fast-selling books, Personal Leadership for Educators. I mean, quite a number of my mentees have read that book, and it's sold over 1,000 copies. I made sure I published that book. And guess what? Because I was ready to face the fear of change, because I was ready to anticipate the change and not wait for the change to happen. The first consulting job I got was to recruit for a school on the island. And this lady happened to be someone that we went to school together, but her husband is very, very rich. I mean, MTN and all of that. And then she started her school, and she needed to recruit new staff. Very massive and big school in Naija. In fact, I was so scared to give her my price, because I just summoned up the courage and I just told her, okay, the amount I charged her was equivalent to my 1 month salary. And guess what? She was like, fine, let's go ahead. I almost dropped dead because I had to gather a lot of liver to even tell her. But I mean, I could have also shortchanged myself. And at some point when she said, okay, I mean, she just said it like, it's a small change. I was like, hey, but that's on a lighter note, right? So with that, I'm moving to the third part. Okay, so taking action, the importance of a positive mindset. Of course, her eventually got the cheese, and I mean, the rest, like they say, is history. Now, I'm going to add this because having a positive mindset is very important. I'll continue with my story. After I started consulting, what then happened to me was that, guess what? I discovered that the education consulting market was getting crowded. And so I knew that it was another time for me to do what? Anticipate change, take action, and have a positive mindset. And then I started doing what is called strategic volunteering. Why? Because I knew that I love to unlock human potential and drive sustainable growth. And then I went to search again, apart from this teaching, what other gifts do I have in my life? Yeah, I'm almost done. Trust me on that. I'm going to be done at exactly the time you gave me. What gift do I have in my life? And then I discovered that leadership came in second. Teaching came in first. Leadership came in second. Exaltation, which is mentoring and coaching, came in third, and administration came in fourth. So I quickly went to get my certification to be a certified leadership coach and mentor. And then I proceeded to making sure that with the other gifts that followed, I went to the School of Consulting in the United Kingdom to get my certification as a business consultant. So right now, whenever I want to introduce myself, I say I am an education, leadership, mentoring, coaching, and business consultant. And so this is where I am right now. And never you think that because you're in one particular kind of business, the education, system was getting crowded. A lot of people, consultants springing up, especially after COVID, 1,000 naira consultants, and I was not ready to compete in the red ocean. And so what did I migrated to the blue ocean, where I had less people, and I was able to have a lot of podcasts. Right now, I'm even a real estate ambassador, and that's my next move. getting into becoming a realtor. So thank you so much for having me. And I hope that the few minutes I've shared with us about my personal story and also the very few insights has been very, very insightful and helpful. Thank you so much. Over to you, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲.
Thank you very much, Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲. Thank you for taking us on your personal journey of how you've adapted to changes. Some key points I learned was, you said fear is not always bad. There's some positives to fear. God put fear in us to ensure we do not go all out and endanger ourselves. And you also mentioned we learn by knowledge or by experience. And you also said experience is the best teacher when it's not your own. Thank you very much, Ma, once again. I want everyone here to appreciate her for the lovely presentation. So next, we'll be having our final speaker, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲, the CEO, Packages Educational Consultancy Services Limited. So I'll be reading her profile. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲 is a transformational educator, consultant, and speaker with nearly 2 decades of leadership experience and close to 3 decades in the educational sector. As CEO of Packages Educational and Tours Services Limited, she drives school transformation, empowers educators, and delivers tailored training programs designed to foster professional excellence. A passionate advocate for societal transformation through education, 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲 believes that a reformed mind creates a better society. She speaks on leadership and other critical topics aimed at driving positive change. She has a master's degree in educational psychology from the University of Lagos and combines academic expertise with practical leadership experience. She played a key role as one of the founding executive members of 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗃, also serving as the teaching and learning coordinator, treasurer, and board member. Over the years, she assisted to establish reformative structures that continue to shape the organization today. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗃 remains committed to inspiring meaningful change in education and beyond. You're welcome, Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗲. The floor is yours, ma'am. Okay. She's going to be taking us through the following: strategies to embark on a transformative leadership journey, explore moving from comfort to growth zones, and finally, learning through collaboration and shared vision. You have the floor, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Okay, good afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I want to welcome you all to the webinar today on the leadership journey from comfort zone to growth zone. I want to especially appreciate, please, can I have my slides up now? I want to especially appreciate Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲 and Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲 for such an in-depth, what's it called, feedback on the topics given to them, the areas they were supposed to look into, sharing from personal experiences about change and what we need to do about it. I really appreciate your time with us today. Briefly, I just want to quickly share on the leadership journey from comfort zone to growth zone. But majorly for this purpose of this webinar, I'm going to be focusing on collaboration, because quite a number of things I would have loved to delve into, as other speakers have spoken about, so that we will save time for other things. But I'll mention them briefly, right, as we embark on this journey together. I'm going to be looking at how to embark on transformative leadership journey, exploring moving from comfort to zone to growth zone, learn through collaboration and shared vision. I'll majorly focus on collaboration and shared vision for this my talk, my presentation. Next slide, please. Now, when you look at collaboration, basically, you see that is one of the major keys that we need in terms of moving from comfort zone to what's it called, growth zone. If you look at the presentations from Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 and also from Dr. Toyin, you hear one thing or the other about how they needed people, whether in the team that they worked with or in the new terrain they were going to take that leap of change or to bring forth the change that they needed at that moment. So if you're a wife today, if you're a husband today, if you're maybe in your family or even in your organization, or you're a team leader, or you're even part of the team, you need to understand why collaboration is very important in life. The truth about life is God never created anyone in isolation. He didn't create us to be, living on the island alone. He created human beings to mix, to collaborate, to mix with one another, so that, like they say, iron sharpens iron. We get what you have, what I have. How can we put it together to form a synergy as much as possible? But if you look at it, right, if you can pardon me to say, Nigerians have this mentality of trying to hoard information, trying to, I don't want my competitors, I don't want what my others around me to know what is happening and the secrets of my business and whatever. And that is just, very false, very, like they say, this world, the sky is too wild for every one of us to fly in, and we will not collide with one another, right? I remember an experience I had several years ago when I went on a school tour, right? Went to South Africa, and it was a training program, and one of the packages was we'll go on school tours to reputable schools in South Africa. And I found it, because that was my first time really as an educator going into a school like that. And I found it so unbelievable, the way and manner these schools opened up everything to us, especially the class I was attached to, up to the students' books, everything, everything. She collected my mail to say, okay, I'll send you this stuff and whatever. Why? Because they know you cannot work in education alone. You cannot work in your organization, whether you're a business owner. You need people around you. You need to support one another. You need to help one another as much as possible. So that's just a brief ground on what I want to talk about today. Now, let me briefly go through the slides. From moving from comfort zone. No, please, the other slide. Let's go to the previous slide. Yes, it talks about familiarity. What are the signs of comfort zone? This is a place where you feel safe. It's very predictable, like many speakers have said, the routine, the status quo, what we do every day. You're not rocking the boat. You're very comfortable going in and out. It's safe. Okay, this is a supermarket I shop with every day. This is whatever it is. What's it called? Where I buy my groceries from. This is where the curriculum we've been using. This is the customer, the service we've been providing to our customers. It's very predictable. There's no low-risk environment. Everything is working perfectly well. It gives you a sense of security, right? That nothing is shaking you. But there are limitations. Why? Because it hinders your growth. It limits your potentials. Because if you don't embrace something new, then how do you want to grow? There's a period in time for a child to be a child. There's a period in time for a child to be what? A teenager. But there's a period in time for that teenager to become what? An adult, a young adult, and then you keep moving on. So there are some skills that we're expected to learn in every stage of our life. We're not supposed to be static. We're not supposed to stay at one stage to say this is how we are. If you look at an elastic band, if you look at it just on the table, you will say, oh, good, it's an elastic band. But you will never know the potential of an elastic band until you draw on it, until you stretch it, until you pull it. That is how far you will know an elastic band can go. And that is how it is with us in life. We need to be self-aware. We need to get to the point of time to understand I am already settling into my comfort zone. I need to move beyond my everything seems to be okay area. Identify the triggers and the behavior, right? The routine. after a while, you find out that your comfort zone is not exciting you again. You're just doing it to fulfill all righteousness. You're teaching the same class because some of us, we don't even bother to find out what is new in that subject area. We just go back and just start our old lesson plan, either from the internet or whatever it is, and we're not trying to find out what is new happening in the system. You're working in an organization, you're not looking at what it is that will meet the needs of your customers. What are your customers demanding for? You know, and as much as possible. So you need, as a leader, you need to reflect also on your current leadership practices. Is it still working? Because it worked 5 years ago with that team you had. Is it working with the young ones that are coming now that don't even understand why you need to tell them to give more time than the time that they have signed on for in that organization? You need to also identify why you feel more secure, so that we will be able to go. Please, next slide. Next slide, please. So basically, collaboration. Why is collaboration important for us as leaders? This is one, it talks about the power of teamwork, shared vision. This is when leaders and the team work together towards a common vision, towards a common purpose, right? The individual effort from individual Mr. A with Miss B, with Miss C, come together and they align and they become more impactful. Instead of different people working on, you know, one is facing the north, one is facing the south, one is facing the east. Have you ever wondered that anytime we have football in Nigeria, there's no tribe, especially when it's the national team. There's no barrier of tribe. There's no barrier of religion. There's no barrier of culture. What happens? Everybody comes together. Why? To support the national team, because there's a common vision. We want our team to win. And so we need to understand that, right? We need to work towards that purpose. And then for you to have to enjoy the power of the teamwork, of teamwork in your organization or in your business or even in your family, you need to build trust. People cannot work with someone who they don't trust. You need to build trust amongst your team. You need to bring trust, you know, you need to build trust. They need to know that whoever I'm working with, this leader has our back. This leader is not operating into operating teams and groups, sections in the organization that, oh, these are the preferred ones in the organization, right? Then also the team needs to know that, oh, I can take this risk and without any fear of failure, that my leader will not lambast me and make me feel as if, you know, because the truth about change is what? Failure will come through. It's not immediately you're successful. Go and ask the Dangotes of this world. Go and ask the $10 and 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗲 of this world. They will tell you many times they've failed more than they've been successful. So the team members need to know that they have the trust of their leaders to try new terrain to see how much it can work or not. You need to foster, for you to have trust in place, you need to foster open communication so that in any way they're feeling stuck, they can come to you and tell you, oh, please, this is how far I've gone and whatever it is. And feedback is freely exchanged in the organization. They need to also, right, there must be synergy in the sense that all the combined efforts of everybody in that organization becomes a wholesome lot. It's not a matter of one person shining more than the other. You bring your A, you bring your B, you bring your C, you bring everything. It's all towards a common purpose. If you look at the football team as much as possible, whether you are the keeper, whether you are the midfielder, whether you are the striker, whether you are the attacker, everybody is working to pass the ball to who they know will help them to score, will help them to defend. So it's a matter of everybody combining their efforts, because the more you come together, the more you can achieve. As a leader, stop pitching your team against each other because you want to get information. I'm often pained when I hear some of the leaders or business owners doing that. They keep saying that, oh, let's operate that way so that they are not closed. You're the one ruining your business. You're the one causing problems in your family. You're the ones bringing problems in the organization. You need to unlock people's potential through collaboration, because by the time they collaborate, what happens? The skills of everybody begins to shine forth. Your own skill is not my own skill. Where your strength is not where my own strength is. And so I need to understand that. So when I need someone who can write good reports, when I have presentations and I know who to go to, when I need someone who is very good with logistics details, I know who to go to. When I need someone who is in charge of planning events and organizing whatever, or even making presentations and being able to talk to the crowd, I know who to talk to. So as a leader, you need to understand that power of how you can build all your team up so that you can enhance your work. It will even help you as a leader, because what you will do, you'll be getting feedback from them, and it allows you to sit back and take the more purposeful visions of the organization. So instead of you getting yourself so occupied with the nitty-gritties of the work, of the daily work. So like I said at the end of it, unlock potential through collaboration, enhance leadership through teamwork. Please, the next slide. Now, how do you build shared vision? How do you share this goal? The goal, right? When you want to share the goal, I don't know, like many of my colleagues have talked about the COVID era and whatever the case is. What was the goal that the government shared with us? We need to protect ourselves. So why? So that this virus will not spread. And what happened? Everybody tried as much as possible to comply. It must make meaning to me. That vision, you must translate it in a way and manner that it makes meaning to everybody in the organization, everybody in your family. Why is it beneficial to me? If we are able to do this, this is what the result will be. You, as a leader, you must be able to translate it well enough for everyone to understand. There must be clarity in your communication. Don't say A and then midway you jump back and it's like, and you cause confusion along the place. There must be alignment. I talked about that. Every part coming together to fuse together in what you are doing. Whether you are in operations, whether you are in the admin, whether you are in logistics, whatever it is that you are working in that organization, everybody must align. Every department must align towards a common purpose, a common goal, a common vision. And then as a leader, you must be able to sell it in a way and manner that people will be committed. They will own the vision. They will know that this is the value we get from it. It's not about, oh, I'm building just another man's dream. Yes, I can be building another man's dreams, and I'm being fulfilled in the process. I'm finding out, enhancing my skills. I'm finding out new skills. I'm building myself up as much as possible. So when you create, as a leader, a unified vision, you see and you'll be able to guide your team towards a shared success. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, how do we learn from one another? Learning from one another, embracing diverse perspective. As a leader, as a team, as someone in the team, you must be open-minded. We've said so much about the story of the 4 characters in the book. You need to have an open mind that change is bound to come in life. Change is something that is bound to come. Don't always embrace negative things. Have an open mind. Be an active listener. Don't only listen because you're waiting for the person to finish and so that immediately you're telling me, this is it. No, listen. Listen to their complaints. Listen to their opinions. Listen to their queries so that you will get even more information and you get more insight. By the time you do this, you'll find out that more insights are coming into your organization. People are not afraid to share their views. And the more they share, the richer that your organization will be, and the more you move towards the path of success to growth and success eventually. And the more you do this, there's continuous improvements in place. Everybody keeps improving. Everybody is putting in their best to keep doing. Oh, there's feedback. They will reflect. What have we done well? What haven't we done well? And then you keep going. What are the new paths? What are the new terrains that we should follow? When you value diverse perspective in life, when you don't shut your team members up during meetings or even when they have opinions to express, then you find out there are several ways that we can get to the same destination. And maybe that way that they are suggesting, it could even be better than the one that you put on the paper. When you enhance problem solving through varied experiences, you find out that you're able to build your team well and you learn more from one another. Next slide, please. As a leader, you need to step outside the box. How do you overcome challenge? You need to identify what is the challenge. You must have the sight, the insight, the foresight, the insight as a leader to identify a problem even before it happens. You need to be proactive. Don't be a reactive leader, waiting until something falls totally. Look at 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗏 and Sniff. They were able to identify that this cheese will finish eventually. This cheese is getting stale. And what were they doing? They were geared up before that time. So you need to put structures in place, put plans in place to mitigate the change that is coming. And then it's not just put plans in place, there must be actions to back it up. Don't be a leader that just says strategies, suggestions, beautiful ideas, but there's nothing to back it up. Your team do not have the weapon to move on, to help you to embrace the change or to change the change that is coming ahead. So as a leader, you need to embrace changes as growth opportunities. Like my earlier speakers have said, don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of challenges. See challenges as an opportunity to grow, to learn more. Look at what all the two other speakers have said. Look at what they've learned through the processes of their change. I could go on and go on about my own life. It has helped me to be resilient. It has helped me to be adaptable. I'm not a rigid person. Oh, this is not working. Okay, what's the next line of action? What do we need to take? Initially, what did I do? I was supposed to do a book review. If you go to my LinkedIn page, what I had was, okay, I'm reading a book this month and I'm coming back having a review about it. But suddenly somewhere I just thought about it. There's more power, more to learn if you bring people in. And that's how come I approach these two people, Ms. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗏 and Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗏, and they quickly embrace that. And that's the power of collaboration. And when we're talking about collaboration, you must be a kind of person that whoever you want to collaborate with will be willing and accept to trust you and that they want to work with you. So integrity matters very much in collaboration. Next slide, please. The growth zone, embracing change and development. What do? You need to set challenging goals as a leader. Don't set comfortable goals that you know you're not stretching yourself to achieve. Set challenging goals. What are your goals last year? The time is still ripe enough for us to set challenging goals. What is a step forward you want to do? I looked at myself as a person. I'm not much of a social media person. I do occasional posts, old school Facebook. But by the time I thought about leaving the paid employment to go into a new terrain as a full-time consultant, what did I do? I started embracing things that will enhance me to go towards that goal. You need to embrace calculated risk. Don't take risks that will destroy you or will not even make you want to go on. Embrace calculated risk. Look at the pros and cons. Yes, how do I mitigate against it from being something that I cannot rise up again from? So you need to look at that. Seek continuous feedback from your team, from everyone around you. Seek continuous feedback. Don't just give the go and just lay back and not supervising and not getting what. As a person, you should also reflect on your journey. How far have I gone? Reflect and learn from it. When we embrace ongoing change and development, it fosters continuous growth and growth mindset. Next slide, please. I think we are almost rounding up. Conclusion. When we embrace collaboration, right? What have I talked about? Embracing collaboration is a power that will lead you towards your growth and moving you from your comfort zone to your growth zone. You need to share the vision. As much as you have great ideas, share it, communicate it well, inspire people with it, sell people with it, pitch it, just like you pitch when you're going for a pitch, right? Sell it to them in a way and manner that they will buy it. And then what? Learn together. Build a community that we learn together. So as we continue on the journey of growth, build a collaborative and thriving future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲. That was really enlightening. So you talked about the importance of collaboration. You mentioned iron sharpens iron. You used football as an analogy. The importance of setting clear goals and promoting unity in your team. And you just said that as leaders, we should be proactive and reactive. Thank you once again, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗲. I want everyone to appreciate her. So next, we are moving on to the panel discussion. So I'm going to be asking the panelists some questions and they will answer. So starting with Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗴𝗏. Yeah. What does moving from comfort zone to growth zone mean to you as a leader?
Could you say that again, please?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, could you say that again? Could you repeat yourself?
What does moving from comfort zone to growth zone mean to you as a leader?
You know, there are different types of leadership. I'm sure that the people on this call, we have an overview of these different types of leaderships. But at the apex of leadership is transformation. That is changing from who you used to be to a new you. And that was going to require various things to happen. First and foremost, there's going to have to be a letting go of the old and a recognizing of the new. What do I mean by that? Your perspective needs to change. I remember that when we first set up this school in 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗏, the City of Knowledge Academy, and they came from the ministry when we wanted to start taking the GSS3 examinations. And they were asking us for typewriters. That where were our typewriters? I said, typewriters in the 20th century? What are we going to do with typewriters? But I kid you not, we had to go and look for typewriters because we had to buy typewriters in the 20th century so that our children could take those exams. That for me is the epitome of a lack of wanting to change. Typewriters belong in the museum at that point in time, not to now talk of this point in time. But it was an uphill task getting them to change that mindset. I'm sorry, but I continue to use these. I will use these examples. The Ministry of Education is asking for documents from a school, and they are telling us that they don't want soft copies, but we have to have printed copies. And I'm saying in the 21st century, can we not do something about that? But you see, unfortunately, what has happened is that the people that are in charge they are comfortable in that. They are used to that. They don't want to disrupt anything. But I kid you not, the transformation from comfort zone to growth zone is having to discard the old and embracing the new. It will be painful. For some people, it will be painful. But the beautiful thing about moving out of your comfort zone is that you are enlarged, you are increased, your capacity increases. Can you imagine what you can do with your computer as opposed to a typewriter? So those are the sorts of things, but it takes a lot of effort because there will be resistance. People resist change. They don't want to change. They prefer to stay where they are, just like the book has told us about Hugh. He wanted to stay where he was. But what leadership then entails is that you are going to have to be persuasive. You're going to have to demonstrate. You're going to have to do what it is that you are asking anybody else to do. When it is seen that you are doing it, you embrace the change yourself, then other people will then begin to look at it and they would want to change. But the first person to change, the first person's perspective that must change must be the person at the top, okay? Because it then cascades. However, if you also have people reporting to you who are giving you good suggestions and bringing new ideas, as the leader, because some leaders too remain in that comfort zone. They have people who want to fly, but they prefer that everybody is crawling because they are crawling. So if you as the leader, you are able to embrace anybody who comes to you who wants to fly, then you will find out that all of you will begin to fly together. So I don't know, I hope that has been able to change one or two people's minds about moving from your comfort zone to growth zone. Thank you.
Dr. Sweden, can you tell us how you can handle resistance to change in the workplace?
Why did you give me this very, very serious?
I know you're capable, man.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so why did you give me this kind of very tough question?
You're very capable, man. I know that. Thank you, man.
Yes, so when it comes to resistance in the workplace, sorry, excuse me. It's such an interesting question, but a lot of times I recommend the book, The 360-Degree Leader by John C. Maxwell. I mean, that book spoke about how no matter what level or rank you are within the workplace, how you can, work towards not directly leading those people that are ahead of you or people that are coming after you, but it just gives a lot of insights into being able to navigate effectively. So I'm just going to share a little bit. So you have about 3 options. The first option you have is you may want to leave. It's quite direct. That's just the truth, because your workplace contributes to a large portion of your life. I mean, your active hours, you spend more time at the workplace than any other place. So if it's really, really toxic, if it's really, really affecting, I don't want to use the word mental health because that's the Gen Z. They are so quick to say that, but I just want to say that if it's not just aligning with your values, if it's not healthy for you, you know what I'm saying, if it's really, really extreme, because I've been in that kind of situation and I just had to leave. That's just the truth. So if you are in the position, so I'm saying if they are in the position of maybe like the employee or a lower staff or whatever, but let's flip the coin, if you are the employer of labor, you want to use a lot of teaching, coaching and mentoring, peer observation, ensuring that the workplace culture is also embracing it, because sometimes we are quick to jump on people on our team and say they are not changing, whereas we are modeling the wrong thing. So you want to make sure that you are the kind of person that embraces change and all of that. But if after you have done that and you are not still seeing what you want. Like I always say that, don't think you are El Shaddai so that you will not soon die. You may want to either counsel the individual, do all of that, because sometimes it may not be resistant. It may be that they are not fit for that environment. So many factors could actually accrue to resistance to change. Okay, background, personality, work prototype, teen misalignment. So much factors. So that's why that's why I said this question is a bit tough to respond to, but I believe I'm doing a lot of justice to it. So in that case, you may want to show the person or recommend the person for another place after you've helped to carry out some discovery, and all of that, a lot of psychometric tests that could actually help the person. Thirdly, you may want to change the processes, the systems, the structure within the organization, especially if you are in the position to do that. Because sometimes it's not just about the people, okay? It could be beyond just what you are seeing in the minds of the people. It could be some policies that are in place. It could be some things that, basically are not even allowing flow. When I say flow, it cuts across every form of within the workplace. So these are things that you need to really, really consider if there's a lot of resistance. And you want to also document the resistance, because situations like that are opportunities for research, opportunities to draw out life lessons, workplace lessons that you also want to share. So you then have a repertoire of things that you can fall back on, observe the trends, your ability to analyze and give appropriate feedback to maybe those in authority and all of that. So change management is a process that is huge, and it's not something you can just answer in just one answer response as I'm trying to. So I think basically it's just something that humans we are the most, how will I put it now? We're complex entities. So there's a lot that comes into place when we talk about resistance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲. So the last question is to Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗲. How can you, as a leader, inspire adaptability and courage in your team?
Thank you very much. But first of all, leadership is by example. Leadership is by example. As a leader, is what people learn more from what they see you doing. They need to see you as a leader who is ready and flexible to change, who is ready to adapt quickly to change, and not someone who is rigid and complaining and all. So as a leader, you must sell it to them. You must show it to them. And as much as possible, after showing it, you also need to what's it called? Give them time, right? Change is not something that is automatic, right? So you need to give them time. You need to get feedback from them. Build a feedback mechanism in your organization, in your family, or whatever it is, to see how are they doing, and be ready to be a support to the team. Be ready to be a mentor to them. Be ready to coach them when necessary, and not they'll make mistakes in the midst of the change, but be ready to be a supportive leader as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗲. So now we're going to have questions from the audience. If you have any questions for any of our presenters, you could raise up your hand, or you could type it in the chat box and I could read it out. Thank you. Does anyone have any question? Okay, so we're going to move into a breakout session briefly before we round up. So we're going to be split into 3 groups. Each group will have a group coordinator. For group 1, the coordinator is going to be 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗲. For group 2, the coordinator is going to be Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗏. And for group 3, we have 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗃. So they are going to present put on this slides the questions that we're going to be discussing about. The breakout session is going to last for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then there'll be a 3-minute presentation per group. Thank you. Or a 2-minute presentation per group because we spent time. Thank you. So I repeat, for group 1, the coordinator is 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗃. For group 2 is 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗃. And for group 3 is 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃. Thank you. We just have about 10 to 12 minutes for this. Then presenters can move freely from one group to the other. Please, everyone, let's join the breakout session. Okay, click on there's an icon, breakout session. You can click on that icon and you'll be put in a group. You join that breakout session. Thank you. Are you having issues joining the breakout session? Please, you could chat me up.
would probably help. I'll see if I can share that. But if we quickly talk about the first one, how does Who Moved My Cheese address the fear of change in personal and professional life? Who has actually read that book? I think that might probably help us. Who's read this book before? Yes, go on, Sister. You can just speak. If you have something to say, just
no. You asked who read the book, so I just raised up my hand to indicate that I did.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Has anyone read this book before? No? Okay. Right. I haven't read the book myself, to be quite sincere with you. And whilst the session was going on, I quickly placed an order on Amazon because from what the speakers were saying, I felt it's something that would benefit me even in my personal life and also my professional life. But from what they've spoken about today, I'm sure we can sort of, we've gleaned a lot, definitely, to be able to work out how Who Moved My Cheese, can address the issue of fear, when it comes to change. I'm sure we've all been through change at a time or the other in our lives, and I'm sure we understand the fear we probably faced when we were going to either step in. Answer. You can
start. Okay, I think in line with what some of the speakers already said, the only thing that is constant is change. And then if a leader does not want to live in the past glory, it means you always be ready to anticipate change. And then when you are anticipate change, you also see change with your teammates. It's important for you to know that they need to be convinced, and then you also have to be supportive, because change does not happen overnight. But what is important is that if they know that the only thing that is constant is change, and then if you don't prepare for the change or plan for it, it will happen and it will take you unawares, and then the outcomes will not be favorable. It can even lead them to maybe causing a lot of difficulties and challenges for the organization. So what is important is that for you to be able to ensure that your team members buy into change, moving away from the comfort zone, you would need to be able to emphasize the benefits derivable from embracing change. And then when you also do that, you're also supportive of them, giving them the support, having a feedback mechanism whereby you will be able to listen to their challenges, their complaints, and their concerns about embracing change. I think I'll have to pause here for others to make their contributions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Mrs. 𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀, can we hear from you? Dr. Adenekon, can we hear from you, please? Please unmute. Okay, while we're there.
Part of the discussion.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so can I say something? Hello.
Hi.
Can I continue? Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲. And based on the question, I think that oftentimes when we talk about change, we recognize that change is not easy, because as human beings, our brains form patterns and we get very comfortable with those patterns. And that is how the comfort zone comes about. Like we are beings of habits. So we just get comfortable with the people we know, with the places we know, with the routines we have formed. And that is why averagely when you even put people in
is a sister. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲, do you have anything else to say? So we can quickly move to the next question.
Okay, so for me, I mean, how the book has helped me, because even though I just recently read it, strangely enough, the book was given to my son some years back in school, courtesy of, I think, Miss 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 as well, but I never did read it. So when the discussion came up, I quickly, got it and went through it. And interestingly, one of the things that stood out for me was realizing that I needed to address, identify, and face which category of change resistor or change reactor that I am, if I may put it that way, because there were 4 characters in that book. One was at alert as to the change, one went into action, one was reluctant, one just stayed in the comfort zone. So first of all, identifying where I belonged has really helped me to, step back and realize that fear could either motivate you or paralyze you. So identify how you react to change, first of all, so that can help you to address it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We only have about 30 seconds left. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to deal with the second question, but I'm sure from what we've all been able to discuss today, definitely the book is quite impactful and is, impacted us one way or the other to take that step towards change. And God will help us to achieve that. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the main.
Welcome back to the main group. Hope the breakout session was interactive and you learned a lot. So are we all back in the main room? Okay, we're going to have a brief presentation from each group. We're starting like about 2 minutes because of the time is fast spent. We'll start with group 1. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲, can you guys give us like a summary of what you had in your breakout session? Thank you.
Thank you very much, host. Good afternoon, all. Okay, so in group 1, we're only able to talk about the first question, unfortunately, due to time. And one of the first things we did ask was who's read the book, and 2 of the people in group 1 were able to, identify with the fact that they've actually read the book. And Sister Precious did say that what she gained from the book on 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗲 and how it addresses the fear of change in personal and professional life is that her perspective to fear changed a lot after reading that book. She understood that change is inevitable, and you need to learn how to be adaptable if you want to move forward. So for her, it was a case of either you fail or you succeed. So she decided to take the change, take the step. So better move ahead and take the step was her, what she gleaned from reading the book. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 did identify that the book helped to make her understand the category she falls into, because the book is about, different categories that we fall into, identifying categories. And for her, she was able to identify the category she fell into and how to now take the step towards, the change and overcoming fear for her to be able to move forward. Sister 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 and myself, I haven't read the book before. And when the session was going on, I placed an order just from what the speakers were talking about. And for me, it sort of inspired me to be able to face change. And I did share in our group that the host is my sister, Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲, and she reached out to me during the session that I was going to be coordinating the breakout session for group 1. And my first thought was, fair, why would you ask me to do that? You didn't tell me to do this before. I'm not prepared to do this. Then I thought, Shola, one of the objectives for this year is to be able to take steps, even in areas that you're not comfortable within. And I thought, actually, this is an opportunity for you to be able to see, and walk towards overcoming that fear, beg your pardon, in being able to move forward and embrace the change you want. So that was what we discussed in group 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀. Thanks to everyone in group 1. So next we're moving to group 2. And we have Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲 to give us a summary of what we discussed in group 2. Thank you. Or can someone from group 2 just give us a summary of what was discussed in group 2? Okay, can we move on to group 3? Or is anyone in group 2? Okay, group 3, please. Can we have Mrs. Chinedu?
Okay.
One quarter. Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, we discussed in our group 3 how we can challenge conventional ideas about comfort zone and risk taking. And then we discussed that change is something that is very, very difficult for people to accept at the first time. It takes time for people to understand why the change is coming. The benefits of the change. And then as we bring forward the change, there's need to support the team members and also get feedback from them. And then we also discussed about the comfort, people not being able to leave their comfort zone. Because by nature, people don't want to leave what they are already used to. So that's why people resist for fear. And also sometimes because of they're looking at, oh, you are giving me another more workload. So people tend to resist. But we can always handle this by encouraging, by supporting our team members, by letting them know that it's about growth. That before you even think of how you are going to handle the change, you first of all appreciate where you're coming from and where you are now. That will encourage you to embrace change as they come. As leaders, we must have empathy for our team members to work with us. And then very importantly, positive mindset. We must always encourage positive mindset. Those are some of the things we discussed in our own group. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you very much, Ma. So is anyone from group 2, or do we move on to the conclusion? Anyone from group 2? Okay. Thank you all for participating. I'll pass it on to Mrs. 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀 for the concluding remarks.
Thank you, everyone. Just finished from the breakout room discussion. And I know the time was quite short because we're really pressed with time, but we know the value of what you can get from being in the breakout room where you can talk and discuss in smaller groups and be able to share experiences. So we want to apologize for not giving you extensive time to do that. But nevertheless, I want to believe we've learned something today. Every time was always going through the maze tunnel. He was always writing something down. He was always journaling experiences, key points that was remarkable to him as lessons, as a pointer for him to always remember. And I just want to take one or two or three of them, even as we round up today. One says, change happens. Keep moving the cheese. Change happens. Keep moving the cheese. Another one says, anticipate change. Get ready for the cheese to move. I repeat again, anticipate change. Get ready for the cheese to move. The third says, adapt quickly. The quicker you let go of the old cheese, the sooner you find a new one. Again, adapt quickly. The quicker you let go of the old cheese, the sooner you find the new one. The last says, move with the cheese and enjoy the change. So tell yourself, move with the cheese and enjoy the change. So quickly, I want to conclude by saying, can we have the last slide, please? Last slide, please. Conclusion. All what we've been talking about today for the past almost 2 hours now is that one, change is inevitable. It's something that is always constant. That's one thing we say is constant in life. What do you need to do? Adaptability is a key. How you're flexible to adapt and embrace that change is the key to your success. Fear holds us back, but action leads us towards what? Growth. When you embrace the change, when you're flexible to the change, when you adapt with the change, it's your pathway to your growth. Leadership in life requires vision. Leadership is not title. It's not about position. It requires vision, flexibility, and courage. You must be a visionary leader. You must be a flexible leader. You must be a courageous leader to embrace change that will be beneficial to your organization, to your family, to your team, and even to yourself. There's a new cheese out there. Discover it. I'm telling you today, each and every one of us present today, this is a new month, and we're still in the first half of the year. There's a new cheese out there waiting for you. You need to move, not just to anticipate it, not just to talk about it. Take an action, discover it, walk towards it. Go and get your cheese. And the last one will be, what steps are you going to take towards your new cheese? What steps are you going to take individually towards that cheese that you've been pining for? Towards that cheese that you've been looking at and it seems as if it's impossible. But I tell you today, each and every step you take towards that cheese is on your pathway to your growth zone, is on your pathway to your success in life. So on this note, I want to say thank you very much for being part of us today. Thank you for honoring our invitation. It's been a wonderful time with you today. I want to especially appreciate our two speakers, Miss 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗀. We want to say thank you for your depth of knowledge, for your depth of experience that you've shared with us today. I want to especially appreciate Dr. Toyin as well. Unfortunately, she had to go off because she has another meeting she has to attend. I really appreciate you all. You've come to share with us, and I'm hoping that all what you've shared with us today will be the turning point towards a positive change in our life, in our lifestyle, in our goals, and in the steps we'll start taking from now, not just for ourselves, not just for our families, but also for our organization. So on this note, I say on behalf of Packages Educational Consultancy Services Limited, thank you very much for being part of us today. It's been an awesome time with you. Thank you. God bless. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please, can we put our videos on if we're very presentable? And just let's see if you can take a screenshot. Okay. Please, I hope the logistics is ready to take a screenshot of every one of us as we round up this meeting today. Beautiful, all the cameras on as much as we can. You understand how it is, holiday, and we might not be in the best appearance to appear on camera. All right, So can we do a wave for those of us who are there? I wish you the best of the rest of the holiday. Have a restful time.
How can we get
God
a slide?
bless.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
How can we
Let's
get
hear
a
your
slide?
voice. This is the
Hello,
time
ma'am.
to
How can we
unmute.
get
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
how can
Thank
we
you.
how
Thank
can we
you.
get the slide, please?
Thank you. You can unmute and let's hear your voice as you
Yes. How can we get
go
the
off.
slide, please,
The
ma'am?
slides,
Can you hear me?
the same way you registered. We will send the
I
e-copy of the
registered, but
book and
unfortunately, I didn't
something
receive.
to you. All right. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And then you will get our feedback form as well. Please try to fill it so that you can get your slides. Thank you. Bye. Have a wonderful time. Bye.